So as you can see, we're working down in here on the Rebel Spitfire, and to be honest, it goes together really well. There's some very, very nice details in this kit, considering it is at the sort of cheaper end. Now, we've already just spoken about obviously flash and dealing with things like that, and to be honest, looking around on the kit, there's a lot of it. But again, it's one of those things. It's not the end of the world. It's really simple cleanup with it, and again, it just takes a little bit of time and you're good to go, and you're back up to where any other kit would be. So as you can see down here in front, we've already moved ahead just a little bit. We've done a little bit of construction work, just putting things like the cockpit together. So as you can see down in here, all we've actually done is put it together and a basic paint job. So for this particular one, all we've actually done is come in here with a little bit of Tamiya, if I can just grab it, cockpit green. So XF71 for our case, just down in here like this, and we've popped in and we've sprayed everywhere around. The instrument panel, all we've done, we've painted it in place, hand painted it, and we've done the outer bezel in a little bit of XF85. And then the inner 6 dials in that inner instrument panel, we've literally just done it in gloss black, because in reality is they are a little bit different. We've painted a little bit of hand painting around the gun column, down in there in the control stick, and then obviously the headrest at the back, we've done a little bit of flat black as well, just to take care of that. So we've put all of those together. To be honest, the instructions are really good. No real problems with that at all. It just flows together. We've also done the side consoles. So again, exactly the same thing, apart from we've used a little bit of rubber black on these ones down in here. So a little bit of X85 for those. Those will be detailed up. We're going to talk about painting and weathering, but we've done both of those and they go together pretty straightforward. Same goes with the sides. So we've actually put the little bottle on here. We've got, I think this is the little handle or the wobble handle. I think that is for the actual primer system. That's down in there like that, and then on the other one we've got the little oxygen tanks down the back, and I think this is the radio switch up at the front here. And again, they all need a little bit of hand painting and a little bit of finesse, which we'll do in a moment. All right, so don't panic about those. We're going to get them together, and it is going to be a basic job. So basic paint work put down, no problem. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing with this one, a little bit of hand painting onto this one, and then obviously a wash just to really bring it to life. And then obviously we can think about buttoning up, so it just speeds up this entire build all the way through. So next up, what we're going to do is a very quick, simple bit of weathering down in here. So you can see we've got our little cockpit down in here. For this, we're just going to use some dark iron again. So one of my favorite colors, 214. This is a buffable, but you could use any silver. It all works roughly the same. First of all, make sure you give this a good mix. Now this is almost empty, this one, but still want to get it to go. All buffable paints will have a really, really thick pigment at the bottom. If you don't thoroughly mix it, all you're going to be doing is taking off the sort of painty black paint off the top and not the good stuff off the bottom. So again, we've got this down in here, so make sure it's got a good mix. I've got a couple of brushes, which is one here and one here, and these are my two brushes I only ever use for this particular job. And as you can see by the end of them, they're pretty broken and worn up, but that's to do with types of dry brushing as well. So because you need to get in amongst it and go through. So what you want is something with quite a tough bristles. You want them to be quite short. You don't want long because you don't want it to flick. You want it to literally rub on top. So if you have got a brush, what you can do is just cut it down. So if it's a little bit long, just cut it down. Doesn't matter because it's going to be a rough old job for this one. And then what we're going to do is, as always, take a little bit of paper towel because you need something to be dry brushing this with again. So then all we're going to do is I tip this somewhat to the side a little bit, and then we just come in here and we grab a little bit of the thicker stuff underneath, but you can just mix it all together like this and then rub all of it basically off the side of your brush, because you don't want anything at all. And this is the good thing about this, it goes on forever. So then what we do, we just come down in here and we give it a brush, and you can see it looks black, but as you rub it, you'll notice this goes quite metally. And what you can do, you can go along like this, and we're just making sure we haven't got any on the edges, so we're rolling it and pressing it all in there. If you've got another brush, don't dip it into there, just put it into here and pick up, and you can grab what's here now, and this acts a bit like a wet palette in reverse because this is drying out, but it will be good to go as well. So with all of these on, what we can do is literally pop round the entire thing. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab my glasses here, and then we're just going to pop along. So we're going to do a lid on the floor, and as I say, we've got quite a bit going on. So we always start on the floor because that's going to be more scratched up and worn than anywhere else, so you can do. And the great thing about these is you catch it in the light, it looks really strong. Off colour, you can hardly see it, and that's the great thing. And all we're doing is running around everywhere on this. So this is just setting off our standard, and we're going to go over the black and all these different areas around the back. And to start with, we're not going to go near the instrument panel because we want this to wear off. We're just trying to come in from all these different angles, really just to get this worn look going on and set our tones. So we're just down in here, a bit on the grip, on the sides of these, right the way around. And this is just going to give us a really straightforward weathering type job to this one. Bit on the pedals, be careful because they are going to be fragile, so little flecking techniques. And again, just a little bit around in here. Whoops, that bit probably shouldn't have come off. We have to glue that back in. Obviously didn't glue that in very well. And again, little bits on the back. That's all of those on there. Then what we're going to do, turn our attention to the sides. So again, we're just going to rub this lightly. And this will just set the tone of all the weathering because it's going to have a wash over this. But there you go, it just gives it that sort of worn look to it. And then again, just down over these. Obviously on the black it's going to reflect really very, very strongly, but even over the greens, as you can see, it works quite well. And if you want to do that wear and tear, you can see it catches in there very nicely. And then last up, what we're going to do is the actual instrument panel now. So we're just going to be flicking right the way over all of these, so all the bezels and the dials come to life. And again, just lightly, you're not pushing too heavy, just running around in circles. And again, hopefully you can see now how it starts to all come to life. And obviously the more you do this, the more it will go metallic and the stronger it gets. And there we go, so that's down in there just like that. Now if you wanted to, obviously you can come along and you can put decals into this and all the bits and pieces, or you can obviously replace it with everything else. But we're doing this as sort of a starter's guide to this, so we're not going to go too over the top. And we're just going to put a little bit of wear and tear around the seats. And as we said before, if you wanted to, you could come in with an aftermarket set and various things for harnesses. But that's our seat sort of weathered and everything ready to go in. But hopefully you can see, if I move that out of the way, that's actually now set that weathering quite nicely down in there, just like that. And then again, we're going to do exactly the same for these. Again, just getting in amongst everywhere. And again, we're going to see these from underneath, so we're just going to wear a little bit over the top. As you can see, now it starts to wear it all down, and the same just down in here over the box. And again, these little formers over the, these are oxygen tanks, just a little bit over there. And it's really very quick, very straightforward. Again, just a little bit under here. The whole point of doing under here is obviously it's where the flaps show through, but you can probably see how shiny this is getting, and that's just where we're manipulating right the way over this. So there we go, that's those all done just like that. So that sets off very nicely your actual weathering just like that. So that sort of gets it down in there. But what we want to do now is obviously just weather it up a little bit more. So what we're going to do is make up a really simple wash. Now you could just knock up a little bit of perhaps black acrylic paint, and you put that down, but you don't want to be using hot thinners with it because you want it to actually work very well. And obviously this has just got an acrylic paint onto it, so if you was to be coming in with like lacquer thinners and trying to brush it around, it would eat into the acrylic stuff. So if you can, what you want to use is something completely different. So in our case, what we're going to use is enamels. So all we've got down in here is a little bit of enamel thinners. We're just going to grab a little bit of oil colour. So I've got a little bit of the shadow black down in here. So then all we're going to do is grab a little bit of that, pop it into our thinners. Okay, so that starts that off. Then what we're going to do is just grab a little bit more thinners, and make a nice thin wash just down in here, and then good old mix, and make sure you're thoroughly mixed up right the way through. And then what we're going to do is going to wash this literally right over, and as you can see straight away it's going to grab and it's going to weather. And again, just down in these, a little bit just under here, because again you will see it, a little bit just behind here, and then straight away before and after you can see how it's going to work. Alright, so we just do this side, and this is just the quickest little weathering job you can do. But what it will do is this sort of dries, it will give a nice weathered look right the way, and it will dry. Sometimes it dries a little bit gritty, but normally it's pretty good for what we need, and it won't take long at all. And then again we're going to do these little side panels, so just make sure we're thoroughly mixed again, and then these just down in here. And again you can overcoat this, so if you want to quite heavy weathered, just give it a little bit more. If you want it quite muted, then you can stop. But here it gives you an idea of how this will work. And then again, once this dries back, it dries back quite light, so don't worry about it too much looking very strong. And then another little touch we can do with this is what I call buffing. So you can actually buff right the way over the top of it to make it really pop, and this is where the big part comes in. So this will really just come to life now. So a little bit just down on the floor. We'll see about the framing work, all of these up round in here, and it will cling to all the recessed details and all the little areas on this and really make it all come to life. One thing to think about though, if you're using super glue and obviously the enamels like this, what can happen is it can weaken the enamels. So just a little bit just down in there. And as you can see down the back here, it's actually a little bit soft and it's reactivated, but that's not a problem because we can get in there and repaint by hand. It's just that we've done this a little bit quick before the paint's totally dried. And again, so just a little bit over there, a little bit around the stick, and there we go. That's all set and is now all ready to go. Down in there, to be honest, I'll pop back in there and hand paint that, but obviously doing this on the quick bit here, it's dried and then obviously not totally cured off. Alright, so that's good. And then obviously a little bit just down in here for the seat, just to weather this up just a little bit. And again, oils take anywhere between a couple of minutes to dry and hours, but they are handleable and workable once you get to that sort of area. But just be careful about rubbing them and everything else like that. So there we go, the quickest weathering job you can ever do, set to go just like that. So what we're going to do is just let this dry just for a couple of minutes. I'll touch that in, and then what we'll do is we'll actually get the seat installed into the cockpit, and we can look at our first bit of construction where we're going to install the cockpit section inside this, and then obviously we'll get the two fuselage halves together and start to button it up. And then we're going to look at obviously doing things like big areas like wings, and then obviously flat areas as well. So we've got control surfaces down in there. There's different techniques for gluing each part.